So we're just not going to look into the deal that Liverpool signed this summer, right? Okay? That's what we're not going to do. So we know that Liverpool signed a deal with Wirtz. They signed a deal with Ekitike. They signed a deal with Isak. They signed a deal with Frimpong, with Kirkes. But we haven't spoken about the biggest deal they signed this summer. With the devil! Because what they are doing isn't real. This is supernatural. This is coming from listen, I was about to point to the sky. Nah, it's coming from down there. It's coming from down there. This deal that they signed, that's the biggest deal of the summer. We were all focused on Alexander Isak. We don't know that man was signing deals with Satan. Nah, listen, God, cover me. Cover me with the blood of Jesus, bro. Because I don't know if even when I'm witnessing this, I'm taking in some of these fumes. I might be taking in some of these Liverpool fumes. Yo, they're on the Man United 12-13 thing. 2012, 2013, late goals, Van Persie. Late goals, it doesn't matter who it was. A late goal is coming. We can play whenever you want, until whatever minute you want, we're going to score. And Liverpool have that juice going on right now. Listen, I said, you get rewarded for you probing. You get rewarded for your hard work. And that is what Liverpool are getting, man. They were the better team, in my opinion. I do think they dropped off in the second half. But they were the better team. We got to be honest. And Salah should have scored that chance. Rick banged off the post. You know what I mean? Even Ekitike at the end. I know that was after the goal. But they've been doing it all season now. So can we say that they're lucky? Now, there is a concern. They seem to be conceding 2 goals at Anfield, if I'm right. They've conceded 2 goals at Anfield like nearly every game. I don't know if they conceded 2 against Bournemouth, 2 against, well, not against Arsenal, 2 against Newcastle. Well, that wasn't at Anfield. What is it? Well, yeah, so 2 against Atleti, 2 against Newcastle, 2 against Bournemouth. Not really like Liverpool, but hey, they're getting through these games and they are 100% to start the season. I don't know what to say. They just keep on going. Isak had his debut, had a few decent touches. But obviously, you know, we're not going to get too harsh on Isak. He just started his time at the club. Like, he just started his first minutes at the football club. So there's not really much to take away. You know, you might start getting the hate central comps and this and that. I don't know if they're going to do it, but, you know, people are going to try and run agendas and stuff. But I mean, there's reasons why he won't be completely up to scratch, but you did see some certain bits of link up with Florian Wirtz, which was pretty decent. Wirtz, I still think he's trying to find his way. You know what I mean? What is one thing that I've noticed about Wirtz is, obviously he's not the most athletic, he's not the fastest, he's not the strongest, but I feel like he's getting himself in a lot of positions where he is going to be in physical contact with people and they're just brushing him off the ball at the moment. So I think that's something that he's going to have to work on, how to manipulate his body, how to use his body to an advantage, like a David Silva did, because he wasn't the fastest, he wasn't the strongest, but he wasn't getting moved off the ball regularly. You know what I mean? So I think that's something for Florian Wirtz to look into for himself. Do you know what I'm trying to say? A little bit of CultureCams advice, but overall, though, I think it was a good game. That's an entertaining game. I always say, right, the Champions League always restores your love for football. Man United ain't in the competition, but it doesn't bother me, honestly, because, well, I want to be in the competition, of course, but it restores your love for the football. Because sometimes I feel like when watching Premier League, we're just watching a bunch of managers try and do the same thing. You're managing the bottom club in the league. You're trying to play the same way the team at the top do. It's very chess match. It's very, I don't know. I don't like the way the Premier League is going, the direction it's going in, right? But then when you watch the Champions League, it just gives you this different bit of excitement, man. You always get something that excites you. You always get good games, especially in this new format. That's why I'm a big fan of the new format, in terms of at least in the group stages and stuff. So again, a really, really good game. And I feel like that's not the first time Marcus Llorente has scored against Liverpool. I feel like he scored in another fixture, if I'm correct. I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments. But by the way, both his first finish, both his goals were good goals as well. You know what I mean? Both his goals are good goals. But really and truly, Simeone, Atleti, you shouldn't be losing. Well, you shouldn't be losing that game. Overall, when you look at what we know Atleti to be, you would think, I don't know, I feel like this kind of like, I don't know. I kind of feel like, yeah, I saw Simeone fighting at the end, but I feel like Simeone, man, why doesn't he try something new? I feel like, yeah, I know you've been there since like 2011 or something, 2010 or 12. I don't even know what it was, 2010, I think it is. 15 years at the football club, highest paid manager in Europe. I know you can do whatever you want. You played for the football club. Now, I respect loyalty. I respect longevity at a club. Of course, he's won major trophies. You know what I mean? He's overachieved with Atleti. He's done things that was not imaginable. You know, Atleti weren't a big side for a long time. Yeah, they won La Ligas in the 50s and 60s and stuff like that. But they weren't a big football club. Do you know what I mean? And he has restored or got them to that level where people respect them as one of the biggest clubs. But I do think it'll be good to see Simeone at another football club, man. It's kind of, we're seeing, the same things, they get close and they go out every single year. You know what I mean? The football it has improved a little bit in terms of, depending on what you see as good football, in terms of that kind of old school when it was like Gabby and Gabby and Arda Turan and Diogo Costa and all them, man. It's probably improved a little bit since then in terms of the way they play. But overall, I just still think like it's a bit stale with Atleti, It's a bit stale. That's how I feel when I watch Atleti. There's always a player that's prominent and a bit exciting at the club, but it's a bit stale. I'm looking at them in the La Liga as well. 4 games, 1 win, 2 draws, 1 loss. It's just like, it's stale. I would love to see Simeone try himself at a different club. I look at Simeone, I think about him like as a Chelsea manager. I think about him as like a, you know what I mean? Like one of maybe the Italian clubs, Juventus or something. I think about him like that. But back to Liverpool, I can't talk without mentioning this guy. Virgil van Dijk. Man, oh man, Virgil van Dijk. Again, a good performance. But do you know what? I'm not going to lie, people, yeah? One of my favorite things, yeah, is one of my favorite genres is centre-back scoring goals. I don't know why. I just love when a centre-back can get me big goals. Man United had it in the past when they used to have Steve Bruce and all of that, right? But then in my era, we had Nemanja Vidic. He used to score big goals, you know what I mean? And then you look at John Terry, big goal scorer. Van Dijk, even Gerard Piqué, Sergio Gerrard. Something about it fills me with dopamine. I get like this dopamine rush when I see my centre-half score a big clutch goal. And that's one thing that Van Dijk always has had. He's got everything in his arsenal, right? All the best centre-backs pretty much have everything in their arsenal, if you're talking about the GOATs, right? And he's got everything in his arsenal, and there's the goal scoring as well. You can always rely on him to contribute for some goals in a season. And even if he's not going to score a lot of goals, he's going to score some big ones. And again, today, one step, next step, move, bam, goal, good night. Whatever this thing he does, good night, I'm out of here. Big goal, big captain, and you struggle to. There's not much more you can say about him. Now he's in that Mo Salah kind of flow state where it's just like, they are who they are. They're always going to be who they are. They're legends of the game. Salah, good performance, bad performance. He's going to score. He's going to assist. Van Dijk, quiet game. No, he's going to affect it in some way or another. He's going to lead. We're just in that moment with them where it's just like, just appreciate the legend until it goes. Do you know what I mean? That's how I feel when I'm watching Virgil van Dijk. I think he's obviously a legendary centre-half in the Premier League. And again, clutch goal, clutch winner. And that sent Simeone's steaming. I don't know what Simeone was doing. Who was he beefing? It looked like he was beefing the old ladies in the crowd. I was like, yo, Susan didn't do nothing to you, bruh. Man's fighting Susan and Joe in the crowd for celebrating their goals as if he wasn't at Anfield. What was he doing? Like, running on the pitch that time in that greatest hate watch game when he's running on the pitch and he's doing all of this and stuff. And now it's the Liverpool fans are celebrating a little bit and he's giving it, he's trying to fight them. Absolutely crazy guy. But yeah, honestly, I want to see him get another opportunity. But I do think an overall Liverpool are probably going to look at it and think to themselves, we need to find a way of stop conceding, or especially when they go goals up, you know what I mean? When they go 2-0 up or whatever, they're conceding some goals. So is it a concentration issue? Is there a complacency issue? I don't know. But Liverpool will have to look at that because, teams like PSG, teams like Bayern, Arsenal didn't do it the other day, but you would think that if you're in a big Champions League game, they're not going to give you the opportunity to. If you concede against them, it's going to be a lot harder to get back into these games, or it's going to be a lot harder to win, score late, etc. So Liverpool will look into it, but it's early in the season, 5 wins from 5, and they will probably walk into there and be like, guys, we ain't even got going yet. And that's the scary part, you know? So back to the next game, though. Besides Liverpool, good win, 3-2. But now, listen. We need to talk about Chelsea. Because I said in my video the other day, like, Chelsea, for me, right now, listen, they're playing against the charity side in Manchester United this weekend. So, you know, it's probably going to be an all-you-can-eat buffet. However, Chelsea this season, man, so far, I ain't seeing it. And I'm guilty of overgassing them. I'm very guilty of overgassing them, in fact. I'm very, very guilty. Because I think Bayern were the better team by far. Bayern could have scored a lot more goals. Credit to Robert Sanchez, because he kept them in the game. And you think about the Harry Kane, you think about the Elise chances as well. Bayern schooled Chelsea, bro. Bayern schooled Chelsea. And it looked like Chelsea were a little bit of a, what's the word? Fish out of the water. You know, it looked like they weren't ready for a Bayern at this level. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you look at the goal, the first goal, Elise just walks past João Pedro, puts it across the box. And unlucky, I think Upar got a touch on it, or Trevor Chalobah own goal. Obviously, it was a penalty, very rash from Moises Caicedo. What was he doing in that position? There, you just got to keep a cool head. Yeah, the ball went past him, but you got to keep a cool head. Try and get in front of Harry Kane, but instead he tried to lunge. And I mean, you got to have Amadou Onana length of legs to execute what Caicedo was trying to do. So that for me was very, very sloppy play from him. You know, very, very sloppy play. And, you know, it was a moment of, I would say it was a rush of blood to the head. That's really what it was, right? But then you think about, you know, the game going on. You think about Cole Palmer. Now, Cole Palmer. Listen, I need to say something to you, brother. Listen, I've been a fan of you since Man City Academy days. I've been a fan of you since the Academy days. But, bro, your team are losing. You can rest. You don't need to do this every time. Now you're genuinely starting to make me think it's actually cold outside. I don't know if this means like, ooh, cool finish, or if this now is starting to mean like, yo, get me some gloves. It's genuinely cold out here. Because I'm seeing you do it when you're 2-0 down. All right, you go 2-1. Then you score again. It gets disallowed, but you score again in like the 80-something minute. And you're doing this again. I'm like, brother, go pick up the ball. Go pick up the ball. Like, I remember when Dan James, when we scored, Dan James, and he's like, yeah. And you got Martial and Rashford about to pull his blood clot. They're about to pull his head, bro. Cole Palmer, like, yo, the celebration's cold. We like it. We all like it. I voted it as probably the best celebration at the moment. But, brother, don't let it, you know what I mean? Like, don't let it start getting a bit corny. You know what I mean? I don't know if you're doing it for IG. But overall, top finish. Both of them, by the way. But that first one, gets the ball, runs with it, brings the ball up, passes it, gets it back, goal. He showed he has the quality to play at this level. And he's, for me, definitely one of the best 10s or AMs or whatever people call it these days in world football, right? Decisive player. But he needs more people on his level. And I would have thought, you know, after Chelsea spent this money and stuff like that, you know, they'll start getting closer to people that are going to be on his level. But it still doesn't really feel like that. And I know people are going to say I have an agenda. But I'm sorry. Like, let me actually go to Maresca quickly. I think this Reece James experiment in midfield, I'm not too sure. I still think James is better as a right back. And in games like this, you probably want him to, you know, be bombing up down the right-hand side. Be putting crosses into the box. Because when you get them moments, you want to be more decisive. I know Gusto got the little pass back, but he's better than Malo Gusto by far. You know what I mean? I'm not even been really... I know some people are saying that Gusto's gotten back to his best, but I haven't really been impressed with him since his first 6 months at Chelsea. But Reece James in the midfield, and I don't know if that's because he knows that Enzo Fernandez can't play in that midfield role next to Caicedo in games like this. You know, I think Enzo Fernandez's best role is in that Kevin Nolan role, you know, just trying to box crash and stuff like that. But overall, I think it's a lot of accommodating for him. I'm not going to lie, like, guys, I mean, I said it from the very beginning of when he came into the Premier League. I wasn't really that moved by him, you know, and still to this day, I'm still trying to find where this super player, Enzo Fernandez, that gets spoken about like he's so good is. I just don't see it. Midfield, he doesn't really control games. He doesn't get about. He's not as tenacious. Yeah, he tries, you know. In the 10, he can get lost. I do think it's his best role because, you know, let the midfield and you just get some late running into the box and get some goals. But the passing ability that everyone goes on about, like, I don't be seeing him like cutting teams open or just dictating the game through his variety of passes. And I just think, you know, I don't like talking about fees, but wow, that is one that definitely goes under the radar, man. Enzo Fernandez at the moment, guys, still to this day, I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it. And Chelsea overall, offensively, just nothing really was going on. You know what I mean? I didn't think they posed too much of a threat for Bayern. It was pretty comfortable for Bayern. All in all, for me, it was pretty comfortable. João Pedro didn't really have much service or anything going on. You know, they brought on Garnacho, nothing going on. So when I look at Chelsea, they've still got a lot of work to do. I definitely overgassed them. But hey, if you want your confidence up, guess who's coming? Manchester United. Woo! Buffet. Ruben Amorim FC. You know what I mean? They're coming. So let's see what happens when they come to Old Trafford. Although they ain't beat Man United since 2012-13 at Old Trafford. But guys, let's quickly talk about Harry Kane. I mean, Kane, the finishing by this guy is just too sharp. It's just too clinical. And listen, I thought by the 2026 World Cup, maybe someone will be knocking on the door, but he's still going to be there. Now, all I need is you to win me a World Cup, bro. Don't play like how you play for England. Like, play like how you play for Bayern. You know what I'm saying? But only thing is, like, it's such a different proposition, such a different setup. But Kane is just too damn clinical. He was dropping in areas, passing the ball around. And this guy, man, top striker, legendary forward. As much as people want to hit him with the trophy stuff, legendary forward. Anyway, guys, shout out to PSG, comfortable win. Barcola, horrific penalty, but what a pen by, what a goal by Kvara, by the way. What a goal. Absolute quality. And PSG are finding their groove again. Yeah, they went and embarrassed themselves against Chelsea in the Club World Cup, but they've started the season pretty perfectly as well, I believe. I think as they've won every game in the league as well. Yeah, so they've started perfectly as well. So they're still the team to beat, and I would love to see a PSG-Liverpool game again. But guys, the main event is tomorrow. Be there. Be there. I will probably do a watch along for it. Barcelona v Newcastle at St. James. But I'll definitely do a reaction. Dos Locos will be here tomorrow as well. Guys, like, share, subscribe, turn your notifications on. You know what time it is. You know what time it is. Barcelona, the main event. I know Lamine Yamal might not be there, but Loa's back. Loa's back. So easy. Guys, like, share, subscribe, turn your notifications on. It's your boy CultureCams. I'm out. Peace. Oh, quickly, road to 50K. We're still on road to 50K and we're knocking it down. We're knocking it down. So appreciate all the support, people, and on the other videos as well. So let's keep going, man. Let's keep the motion up. I'm out. Peace.